office regularly scheduled meeting and utilities board of directors. Please join me in the allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, we can or we can't.
Do we have any questions from the audience? Okay. None. Correction to the agenda or the consent calendar? I will move adoption of the consent calendar.
Second.
I don't want to hold you up. So. Good afternoon. I am today to request the board authorize to enter into a task order with WS Water Solutions Consult to perform the phase of the wastewater treatment plan and the association's level patient assessment. This is phase 3, and the primary focus of this phase of the project is to proceed with the testing of electrical equipment at both wastewater treatment plant and select field stations, as well as to support the district in efforts to inspect the high priority underground piping here at the wastewater treatment plant. So far, what we've done is a desktop analysis to prioritize pipes and field stations for further assessment. The consultant has come up and gone through and performed visual inspections of all of our field stations. They've been to 80 or so field stations, and also the electrical equipment here at the plant. And they've also been here to do a visual inspection of structures on the wastewater treatment plant and the fountain shops, and are working on developing a memorandum about the condition of those structures. So this next phase is when we start to get our hands dirty and do some actual physical testing and inspection of facilities. So the total amount of consultant support for this next phase is coming in at $165,000 on time and materials. That does not include the actual cost of the electrical testing. That will they will help us identify a vendor to perform that, but then the district will contract directly with the electrical testing vendor. We expect the total cost of the district for the electrical and underground inspection will be an additional, like I said, $154,000. So we will return at a later time when we have that vendor selected to ask for authorization to contract with them. The testing will happen over the course of the winter. And we hope to be able to report back with our findings in the spring. Do you have any questions?
Are those costs that you expect in the budget?
You know, they are in line with the budget that we set forth for us, but we've never undertaken this sort of comprehensive look at all of our field stations in this way. You know, we have done master planning efforts in the past where we've gone from like station to station and done a very high level review of things, but we've never actually gone through and done this comparison. So I'll say yes because we're on budget, but I don't have a history to draw from to make this.
How is the consultant performing?
Very responsive. That's something I need because I need somebody, basically pestering me to like, hey, you were going to give me these comments by this date, and then we keep it moving. So, our progress was slowed a little bit with the Pelham fire. But, I would say through all of that, we're maybe a month behind where we thought we would be when we started this effort at the beginning of the year. So, yeah, they're doing a great job. We have bi-weekly check-ins just to make sure things are going.
This is the first time we've contracted, correct?
Yeah, this is task order 1. Now, we have experience with the team members because Robin Tolley, who is the project manager, was previously with HDR. HDR is also a sub on this project, a sub consultant on this project, focusing on the electrical and the structural. Rob, together with the HDR team, have a lot of experience with the district on the emergency generator project, the aeration basins, rehabilitation, primary clarifiers rehabilitation. So they're not new faces, it's just new knowledge.
Anything else for Jamie?
We're all just very supportive of the asset and data management and what it allows us to achieve in terms of efficiency. So very supportive.
Yeah, great, thank you. And just one more insight into how we plan on using this information. We currently have on our 10-year plan for the wastewater treatment plant and an electrical systems upgrade project. The work that we're doing here in the wastewater treatment plant with this testing is going to specifically inform what that project will entail. And that is expected to be constructed in 24, is it later? Is it with the floor system improvements? No, it's with the RAS.
Yeah.
So 25. So we're looking at implementing that. So.
You have a proposed action for us?
Oh, yeah, sure. I'm asking that the board approve the proposed scope of work from water system consultants to perform the wastewater treatment plant and field station condition assessment, and to authorize the general manager to execute task order number 1B in the amount of $165,211.
So you have a motion by Peterson and a second by And that motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Julie. Frank?
Good afternoon. Frank Galgoski, Associate Engineer. Here today with consultant services for the aeration blower systems improvement project. This is something that's been on our radar for a while, doing this blower systems upgrade. And we've been working on this scope specifically since January 2020. We started working with Corello to evaluate our secondary aeration process as a whole. I think we had 5 different things we looked at coming out of that. Really 3, we decided to split the work into 3 phases. One being the generator that we're constructing right now, that will provide backup power to our blowers. And then this next phase is replacing what we have right now for a backup is an engine-driven, diesel-driven blower. So this will replace that with a new hybrid positive displacement blower, much more energy efficient, being able to turn that down to match our demands and control the process a little bit better there. And so this is really that next phase. We're planning construction in 2024 of this work, and so we want to get the design going now for that work. So our blower system is what provides the air to the aeration basins, basically gives the lungs air to breathe. It's our critical process. probably our most time sensitive. If we lose power, lose those blowers, we've only got 10, 15 minutes before the bugs start dying. So it's something that's been on the radar for a long time. Blowers were built in 1985 to 1987. So we do, I think I was looking at an old CFP plan from like 2015. We plan to replace all the blowers in 2018. And so we've done some condition assessments and some work on the blowers and determined that they're actually in pretty good shape. We don't need to replace them all. But we do want to get one efficient blower in there that's going to help us better control the ones we've got now. We don't have a lot of control over them. And then this also includes replacing all of the electrical gear in that building. That gear will be 38 years old, and so it's really reaching the end of its useful life. And so we want to get that all in place. That will give us new controls on these blowers as well. And then we've also added a couple other smaller things into this design that we've got planned for around the plant that fits in with the scope of work. Adding some sub-metering and bringing different meters that we have around the plant in SCADA, so we can more, manage our energy use a little bit better, see what we're spending in. We're also going to update the fire alarms in the blower building, so a couple of small things in there too. The biggest thing that we're not doing that's come out of the recommendations is the air header that goes from these blowers over to the aeration basins. The cost estimate on that is about $3 million to replace those, and so right now we don't have that budgeted in the 10-year plan, but we do have recommendations for what that looks like. With the underground piping assessment, they're going to look at that condition a little bit more, see what options we have for rehab, see if we can do that a little cheaper than a full replacement. So this is just getting the electrical gear and the blower inside the building. So yeah, that's what I've got. You got any questions for me? All right, do a proposed action. Approve the proposal from Corolla Engineers in the amount of $373,782 for engineering services for the aeration blower system and improvements project, and authorize the general manager to execute task order number 24 to the master services agreement with Corolla Engineers.
So moved.
I'll second that. Okay, we have a motion and a second. And that motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Frank. Okay, done grant.
In your emergency, so I'm thinking we cancel another emergency action today. Here's the latest at DVR. We've been weathering the recent storms just fine. Liberty's on site doing major cleanup of downed trees and brush. The fence repair work will begin, I believe, this month, or next, this month. And Trevor continues to work with the forester on timber assessment of potential salvage timber operation, and also coordinating with BLM for an upcoming aerial reseeding project. So there's going to be more work coming, not a lot of work, unless we have another major storm event next spring, perhaps, but we'll see. But at this point, really the emergency element is not really here anymore, and I think we can resume normal procurement activities. So I intend to end this emergency action today. Any questions or comments?
We don't need to take action to rescind the emergency, it just expires, right?
I believe we need to take action. Yes.
I just had a quick question regarding the last storm event. So, to be honest, I kept expecting this access data, something gone wrong. I mean, honestly, it was a large volume of water. So, what was going to be impact out there? What took place? I mean, was there any, substantial runoff? How did it fare?
There was debris flow, the silt fences worked. And there was a few places where it kind of made its way around the end of the silt fence, and so there's some minor deposits in the channel. but the channel is now offline until the spring, so we'll just continue to monitor it through the winter and then do one cleanup activity in the spring.
We, as part of the cleanup effort, we have dug out some pretty substantial sedimentation basins, just upslope of the channel. And so those took in a lot of material, but they held a lot of material. I think one of them probably took about 100 cubic yards that got held behind the silt fence in that, what was a pit, instead of coming into the ditch.
Well, and I think this is an incredibly positive sign. I think my concern is this, kind of as unfolded, is that if we start to look at, how many times these events are going to take place through the year, how many times we're going to experience cost and, issue. And so the fact, with the work that was done and compliments everyone that engaged in it, I think it, really speaks highly to assuring that we don't have that continual cost of flooding and everything associated with it. So, yeah, good job.
We are revisiting the scope of the dam ditch rehabilitation, which is currently on the 10-year plan. It's both the timing and the scope of that, considering the potential for future debris flows and the maintenance associated with that, as well as kind of what the outcome of the recycled water strategic plan might be. So we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, spending a lot of money on the ditch before we know what kind of the long-range plans might be. So it's going to be challenging to kind of navigate the right path for that system over the next couple of years. I'll keep you informed.
So it sounds like your requested action is different than what's on the staff report. So maybe, John, you can word that for us, please.
Yeah, my requested board action would be to end the emergency action to repair the Diamond Valley Ranch facilities, which was authorized by resolution number 3193-21.
Motion and second. Motion passes unanimously. Okay, payment of claims. I move approval of payment of claims in the amount of $2,038,171.24.
Second.
Motion and second. That brings us to standing and ad hoc committees and liaison reports.
Yeah, on Tuesday we had the Sustainability and Efficiency Committee. We've had that committee going on for several months now. And I would say, from a lot of work from the district, staff, civic sparks and so forth, like, we started to really see the fruits of all that effort start to come out on Tuesday. So just touch on a couple of points. I would say, what was really impressive was both in terms of the efficiency for people's time and staff time, environmental efficiency, and then when it resulted into kind of, staff enjoyment, from time efficiency, utilizing, and please, anyone can jump into the points, but looking at, say, like the fire hydrants. So now there's an interactive dashboard in which the fire hydrants are shown which ones have been tested, what's their status, what needs to be done. And so his staff is on site or out in the field, they can upload data in real time, change the map, what is needed. And then also if they're in a location, they can see what needs to be done, and then just go to that location immediately and, hey, I've got this time, I can repair a hydrant and so forth. And so you're really just, like I said, maximizing people's time. As it goes to the environment, kind of that goes without saying. As you monitor your data more closely, you're able to utilize the resource more efficiently. I think that's just an example of that. But I think the thing I was most impressed about that was outlined was staff buy-in. And that was really, really a positive thing that at least is conveyed to us that it was, seen as an opportunity to kind of problem solve and collaborate and do things creatively. And so it was, a positive thing and something people want to get behind. So just saw as really, again, just, before that process started to today, kind of a very positive development.
Just to add that, Shelley and Brian did a really good job of carrying the meeting and giving us updates on, I think, in front of the board, we talked about the Department of Energy grant opportunity that we partnered with the city of South Lake Tahoe. Unfortunately, we did not get those funds, but I think we've got some good ideas for maybe going at it again. Those funds do become available again. And then also we apparently got a grant, but then we didn't, because of the older part, didn't have time to follow up with some design concepts for a charging station. So we'll go after that again. And then there's another item on there. But we had some conversations around biomass generation facilities and trying to maybe take find some opportunities to create ways to deal with the massive amounts of biomass that are being generated as a result of fuel reduction treatments and federal space and that kind of stuff. So either STR, maybe STPUD has a role in support those types of facilities. And what else am I forgetting? Yeah, really good presentation. They're doing a good job with asset management side of things. Oh, the Shelley and others are getting their kids education program up and running and start soon. Anyway,
That was right. It was kind of the culmination of the kids' tours returning and just kind of ending our emergency declarations.
Okay.
No report.
So, no board member reports? Okay, DORADO Camp Water?
No report, meeting scheduled for next week.
Looks like we're gonna hear from Evo.
Board members, how are you today? So I'm here to provide a just brief statutory report, or staff report, I should say, on the Sigma Alternative Plan update. The last time that I brought this to your attention was in early July. It was at the July 1 board meeting. And so over the past 4 months, we've continued our work needed to update the 2014 Groundwater Management Plan, which we refer to as the Alternative Plan. So the statutory deadline for resubmittal of the Alternative Plan to the Department of Water Resources is coming up. It's January 1, 2022. During the Caldwell fire, I thought it would be prudent to reach out to the stakeholders advisory group members because we were at the point where we were looking at the schedule and wanted to get an idea as to how the fire impacted members of the SAG, their current work schedules and what kind of available review time they might have to vote to the draft alternative. So from the replies of the polling that I did to the SAG members, the responses were from moderate to significant impacts on their work schedules. The greatest impacts were on agency representatives from the U.S. Forest Service, the Compensation Management Unit, as you might expect. So with those responses, we went back, took a look at the project schedule again, and kind of rolled in the time that was requested by the SAG members for plan review. And from that, we determined that an additional 120 days would be needed to complete the alternative plan. So that would include time to complete a working draft, to send to the SAG for review, provide sufficient time for SAG review, and then incorporation of the comments into the draft alternative plan, At that point, issue a public draft of the alternative plan for a 30-day public comment period, then prepare a summary of comments and responses from that event, and then at that point, finally bring a draft final alternative to the board for adoption. All that needs to be done before we can submit this alternative plan to DWR. So what we did on September 21st, I was in phone contact, email contact with DWR about this, about our difficulties with meeting the January 1 deadline. And so on September 21, we drafted a letter and sent that letter to DWR, explaining what was happening and requesting guidance on how to proceed with completing the resubmittal of the adopted alternative plan. We received a response from DWR on October 8th, and DWR requested that we submit an updated schedule with a realistic timeline to complete the update to the alternative plan and submit the schedule to DWR near the end of December. So somewhere around December 15th was the time frame that we discussed. And then at that point, they would take that and consult with the state water board about this issue. One of the things that work in our favor is that the governor did issue a state of emergency for El Dorado County, and that would be the basis upon which we would be asking for the extension of time. They can't change the deadline on that because that's a hard statutory deadline. But as far as what DWR and State Water Board can do if you do not meet that deadline is not very well specified in the regulations. So there's quite a bit of flexibility there in terms of responses. So that's the first major thing that I wanted to bring to your attention. The other thing is, as far as the work over the past 4 months, we've been working on and have completed developing sustainable management criteria for interconnected surface waters. We have updated the district's source water assessment and protection map. We drafted numerous sections of the alternative plan and been working with DHFS and putting this thing together. And then on October 1st, we issued a 90-day notice to cities and counties as far as notifying them that when the plan is released, that they have a 30-day period in which they can request consultation with the district to talk directly about the plan, and that notice will be issued at the time that we release a draft to the stakeholder advisory group. So we'll go to the agencies, cities and counties first, get their comments, and then it'll be let out as a public draft. So that's pretty much it. So as far as the kind of the way that I see the schedule now, we're looking to have a draft out to the agencies and stakeholder advisory group by mid-December. Then we look to complete that as far as their review and then incorporating their comments into the SAG agency comments into the alternative plan, have that ready, and basically I will bring it, kind of roll out the alternative plan. I'm looking at the first meeting in February, so that will be the February 3rd meeting of 2022. Then the following week, we would roll that out and send out the notice of availability on the 30-day comment period. And then going through that process, we would be ready to bring that to the board for consideration to adopt at the first meeting in April. That would be April 7, 2022 meeting. And that would get us within that 120-day period that we have requested for resubmittal to DWR by the end of April. So that's what's going on. Be happy to take any questions from you at this time.
Is there any liability or concern that extension won't be granted?
You know, that was, the concern that we had is that there would be some kind of action that would be taken by the State Water Board, since they're kind of the enforcement arm of this program, and DWR is like the technical half of it. The conversations that I've had with DWR, they were assuring me that, you know, as best that they can, that they didn't think that any action would be taken. We already have an approved plan. So as far as, you know, not meeting this for the resubmittal of the updated plan, again, there's no real guidance and regulations as to what they're supposed to do in that case. They didn't think that, you know, it would be an issue. The other question came up from Gary. Gary asked what it would do as far as district's ability to get grants, because now this is pretty much a general condition to get grants from the state. And if you look at so I went and I looked at the draft grant program, the implementation proposal solicitation package that DWR put out for the Sustainable Groundwater Management Act. If you look at the eligibility requirements, the final bullet says agencies with an approved alternative. So we're still an approved alternative. We're still in that category, and again, I do not believe that this is going to threaten the status of that, the current status of the plan.
How different is the updated versions is anticipated to be compared to what already exists?
It's quite a bit different. There were a lot of new requirements with the Sustainable Groundwater Management Act. So what we're doing is we're taking the groundwater management plan, which we produced as an AD-03 plan, AD-33 plan, and overlaid on top of that are the requirements of the Sustainable Groundwater Management Act. And so what we have to do is, what we did a couple of years ago is an analysis of basin conditions, and that's incorporated into the plan. And so there are specific types of evaluations that you need to do for the basin, and we've gone through and we've done that. And then during the review of the groundwater management plan, there were 8, I wouldn't call them deficiencies, but they refer to them as recommended actions, of things that they would like to see in the updated plan. And we've done and addressed all those as well. So there's that piece. Second piece, look at what's needed, the characterization of undesirable results, basin analysis, and then third part is to incorporate all the work that we've done since adoption of the plan into the updated document. So it's kind of going quite a bit.
I think you've done a great job in coordinating, moving this forward. We've been working with 2 folks, engineers, and Desert Research Institute that are doing a lot of the analysis and writing section in concert with people. And that's kind of an iterative process. Maybe not the most efficient, but it's the way it kind of has to fall together to happen. And I think there was a lot of work over the last 4 months to get this gel into new sections in the alternative plan. And then our firm's been looking at, for consistency throughout the document and also checking the boxes for all the things that the alternative plan is saying. And so we can do that review in concert at the same time. And again, it would have been nice to wait till everything was written and then we do our part, but it wasn't, the time schedule wouldn't allow that, so we had to do more than one review as we're going through this process. But I think the document is in pretty good shape now. Eagles and DRI, including their final rewrites, and then by the middle of this month, we'll turn over a draft, the latest draft to us to go back through again, for compliance, requirements for that we can be released to the second. On the subject of this statutory deadline, I think Eagle's done a great job in communicating to DWR where we're at, keeping them informed. We originally asked if they could give us an extension, if they had any latitude to that. They said it's statutory deadline, but they would work with us, and they have been talked to the state board. And the feedback, at least that I've heard, is they know the basin's in good condition. It's not you know, a severely overdrafted basin or in any of the other categories. And they know that the amount of what they've seen already, a lot of the work that the district's already done when they looked at the submittals for the alternative plan, both under the groundwater management plan and the APC analysis, and they know we've done the work to show what the condition of the basin is. And of course, you know, on that basis, that's what they approved, was the GMP as the alternative plan. So they have a good feeling already. They know the recommended actions that they've asked for, that we've been working with DRI to develop that data for them. And kind of the feeling I get is, if we keep them updated, which when we asked for guidance, when Eagle sent the letter for guidance, he included a schedule so they could see what we were proposing. It wasn't just give us some time. And then we'll give them the update in December with another schedule to show them, hopefully, you know, we're still on track with that original schedule, and this is where we're going to be. And frankly, the amount of, I mean, DWR and the state board have a lot more basins to deal with that aren't in compliance. And basically, they just have DWRS to consult with state board, and frankly, by the time they finish their consulting process back and forth about the status of the plan, we'll have it submitted. I think by the time, by April. So I think we've done almost, I think, everything we can to make sure we stay in their good graces and get this plan to them, so give the update. And as Eagle said, we already have an approved plan. It's not like some of the others are just drafting their sustainability plans, and they haven't been approved. Ours was approved as an approved plan quite a while ago. So this is just the update. So I think, you know, all in all, I think we all feel pretty comfortable with where we're at right now.
Anything else? Thanks, Eva.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Mary. This is general manager.
All right, staffing update, a little more than usual. This meeting in the grants department, we are refilling the grants specialist position. We advertised this position for a month ending October 24th, and we've received 13 applications. 2 of those were in-house applicants, and we will be interviewing 6 on November 15th. So 13 applications, that's a little lower than normal, but we really found that the quality of the applicants was very high. So good news there. In underground repair water, with Bucks transferred there to that department as supervisor, we began recruitment for a pump station operator on October 19th. That will close on November 8th. Interviews in December. We're expecting a good amount of in-house interest on that position. And then finally, DVR. As you know, Jim Hilton is retiring, and officially that will be December 27th.
but with his accrued time on the books, he's essentially already out of the office and out of PBR, although he's offered to make himself available as needed and will continue to join us for budget and strategic planning meetings that are scheduled for this month. So, Jim presented an impressive work ethic and a strong character out there, of course. Saw him as a critical thinker and really had a constant drive for economy and sensibility and cost effectiveness at DVR. And Paul agrees with that. He likes the frugality that Jim brought us from DVR. Constantly looking at the best ways to reduce costs and increase revenues out there. We're really going to miss that, and we will do our very best to carry on and advance those principles. But I think with Jim's retirement, we have a really good opportunity right now to take a fresh look at how we're staffed out at DVR. And do we need a separate manager out there? I think probably not. And are there better ways to assemble the DVR crews and work more cohesively with other district crews? I think there certainly is. So I'm already working with Jason Blaze on this. He's the lead man out there at DVR. And also Trevor will be a critical resource during this transition. Trevor's been working at DVR for a number of years on a number of projects, most recently the inverted siphon and now on the Tamarack fire recovery. So with the retirement, my intention is to really assess the situation, look at alternatives, engage with our own staff, and engage with the board as desired during this transition period. I think at least it's going to take several months. And as to the board, it's my intention to engage the Organizational Structure, Service, and Efficiency Committee, Ellie and Chris, and also Shane, who's our Alpine County liaison, and shown a lot of interest in DVR and has a lot of good ideas that we consider. And of course, any board member can contact me at any time. We can discuss, at the board level, and I think I'll include this item on my GM report from time to time, just this one call. So, any comments? Does that sound like a good plan for now? Okay. All right, COVID. We have just one employee out right now, and only as a precaution due to COVID, because they had someone at home that tested positive. But no one is now testing positive that's an employee. The federal Osha vaccine and testing mandate just came out this morning, so eagerly awaited. And Liz is just taking a look at this, and I took a little bit of a look a couple hours ago. Actually, the federal, it really doesn't look too daunting. We'll see what Cal Osha does with this, but that calls for once a week testing, and it looks like we can do a self-test, such as these. You can buy these online or at CVS. It's about $20, I believe, for a 2-pack. So about $10 per test, and we've started to stock up on these already. Actually, we've used a number of them, and you can get your own results in about 15 minutes. Self-test. So if they accept this type of a test, that's really going to help a lot versus going to Barton or waiting several days to get your test taken. But this is federal OSHA, came out today, and we will be required to follow whatever Cal OSHA comes out with. However, so we'll see what we get. We have 30 days to produce something as an emergency temporary standard for employers in California. Questions, comments on COVID?
Just, I asked John to check into how those requirements might affect elected directors, since we're not hired and we don't serve at the discretion of John or any of the other staff for that matter. So I wondered how they, if there were separate rules for elected. And then this same question would apply to city council members, elected supervisors, but elected members that are considered employees of the organization.
I think, so I talked to Stacy, who's our HR related attorney from BB&K, and her first take was that as elected officials, that it wouldn't apply. However, we need to actually take a look at what we get from Cal OSHA and see if there's something in there specific to that. So perhaps not, but we'll wait to see exactly what the language is. Anything to add, Gary?
No, I think that's right. I think, Stacy's idea was, probably not, but you never know until you see what's going to come up with. So we'll have to look at the exact language, whatever Cal Osha produces. We'll see. It's covered by it.
Okay, next, City of South Lake Tahoe. I just wanted to mention some recent coordination we've had with the city. I met with Joe Urban on a number of issues, including their plans for third-party COVID testing services. And actually, I don't think we're going to need to do this after the district. Dana and Liz have been doing a great job, and then we'll see what OSHA gives us, but it looks like we can handle, this type of thing. And I think the city's challenges on this are a lot greater than the district. Also talked to Joe about the city hydrants project. That's looking good. I think we'll have those city ARPA funds available for hydrant purchases in the next few months, and then we can begin our own installations next year. And then talked to Joe about affordable housing projects and the new rec center project. I don't know, is there, they have a new rec center plan to go in on what's known as a 56-acre project. This could be located kind of by the library. So I think it's like a $60 million facility. It's going to be fantastic. So that's slated to break ground next year and be complete by the end of 23, I believe. And also, I attended a community meeting that was hosted by Mayor Tammy Wallace last week. The focus of that meeting was affordable and workforce housing. The city has a number of different elements they're working on in this area, large projects like Sugar Pine Village, and then a number of smaller projects throughout town, including converting motel rooms to rentals. And they're also interested in contacting second homeowners who don't use the property very much or at all. And I think actually the district can really help the city in this effort by using our automated meter information. We can see which properties are not being used for out of town, and somebody that's not using water, they're living here. And so these could be potential contacts for the city, but that would be in their own.
I don't think we should do that in our court. I mean, that type of information could be free information, and anything that declares a house vacant or something like that, I don't think we should be involved in disclosing that to anybody. That's none of anybody else's business. Honestly, I mean, it's a target for thieves and everything else, so we should be really careful about disclosing
Identifying houses that have well use.
Yeah, I don't like it. I don't know if other board members have a reaction to that, but I think, it's just like, putting a sign on the house, this house is vacant, want it. But we shouldn't do that.
So this would be, just to be clear, we would, I think, perhaps work with the city directly and give them potential contact addresses. And you're concerned that that information will get out and be used personally.
Yeah, that would be public information. Once we identify to the city that these houses seem to be vacant during the months of X to Y, or I think that's out there for whoever wants to access that information. That's private information, I think.
Personal information that's available typically has a contact address, and usually those are the second homes or people that have an address outside of the Tahoe. So it's probably they can have a different way of getting at that same information.
They would, they can find out who's not local homeowners for sure.
This type of thing, you probably want to err on the side of caution.
They can get the same information by advertising for people to come forward and offer it up rather than us providing. I agree.
Yeah, information.
I think it's kind of crossing it a little weird, ethical line there.
Okay.
So we should stay away from that, I agree.
They can get it in other ways.
They could get the same information by putting it
No, if your mailing address is not local, that would be a big payoff, right?
That whole wave is largely crashed. That's when they banned this, vacation homes, most of them. And the market got super hot, everybody sold their houses. Most of those houses are occupied now.
Yeah.
Sure. So,
Okay, I hear you.
anyway, just a side note.
So a little more on
affordable housing projects and the sewer unit transfer process. Tim, can you provide us the latest on that?
Say your name correctly.
It doesn't have to be correct.
Whatever name you want.
Yeah, so, just first, just to let you know, when we talked about putting a process in place so that any customer that has excess sewer units can donate those for affordable housing projects. We have now got that process in place. We sent out roughly 350 letters on Tuesday of this week, and it represented well over 2,000 sewer units that are in excess. So we are just waiting to hear, see if we get any feedback. If anybody's interested in doing the program, and then once we do have anybody, kind of the way it works from there, we verify the information. We'll have customer sign some forms. We'll relate this information to the Eldorado Community Foundation, and then before they, let those sewer units be used, they will contact us, let us know the project, and we'll bring it to you for approval. Those sewer units to be used for an affordable housing project.
We ever, I mean, I know we've tossed around the idea of eliminating the sewer unit concept. So at that point, we could attach a charge or a fee or whatever to the connection of the water. I mean, so if we ever actually evolve that process, then this would be a moot point, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think we'll probably get more into that as the capacity charge study gets completed.
The preliminary work has been done on sewer sites for the sewer capacity charges. It's looking like, at least for capacity charge purposes, we'll be moving away from the sewer unit concept into more of a standard charge for a single family development. For building purposes, we're probably still going to have to use sewer units because that's how our building system is set up. So until we change that still may be around for a while.
So as a commodity, though, sewer units might be sort of getting toward the obsolete place. So I guess what I'm saying is maybe don't do a lot of work in there. I mean, I don't know how far away that is. How far?
A year, that would be for you do development.
Right.
So we have everything else is still on foot right now, so we're kind of happy to treat them separately for this process.
I mean, this was kind of a quick fix, for some projects that are moving right now. Kind of offer something up to get some affordable housing out there, but, as you know, from time to time when we face rate increases, we have a budget meetings. We seem to always, or sometimes not always, but face that argument of, you have 4 people living in this house, 2 people living in this house, to get paid for the same amount of sewer units. So I continue to struggle with those phone houses that come in because I don't know what else to tell them except we're working towards a way to, make it more equal so that, maybe that sewer can be based on water consumption that's used in the home. And figuring out a formula to, leave the irrigation part of it out, just extra use. Still going to be high base rate, but still, you eliminate the argument altogether. This sewer is almost like serious as something.
One of the things, let's say affordable housing, one concept, to bring up, now and into the future may concern that at some point entry-level staff in particular simply won't be able to afford to live here. You're starting to see what a monthly rent is in Indian Valley and Carson now, which is escalating. 2 rent for 2-bedroom in Carson City blew my mind, honestly. And so as a function of kind of our ability to continue the level of service and get high quality staff, as a district looking into getting our own affordable housing that we can utilize for our own benefit, both in conjunction perhaps with the city, other partners, or with, private market forces kind of, to some degree what works best, and so of course have to be developed. And, you know, a lot of thought would have to go into it, at least, you know, kind of begin the ball rolling on that, because I think the problem is going to be more dramatic than this one.
Teachers, nurses, engineers,
Everybody, everything, I mean, you know, I started small businesses last year, and, you know, 4 people working for me now, and growing bigger, next year, I'm still buying my own hazardous waste problem. It's just that kind of simple, there's no getting around it.
Just put up together, there's a lot of moving parts going on with accessory dwelling units right now. Cities really started to ramp up that part of the program. We're now working together, keep it updated and showed. So just to let you know, there's a bill out there that prevents us from collecting capacity charges on accessory dwelling units. So we are trying to put that together, and hopefully we'll bring that forward to you here in the next couple of months. Question?
Thanks, Ted.
I have one more update on Bakersfield Well, and really just a heads up to the board at this point. At Bakersfield Well, this is our primary well out in the county at 1,400 gallons per minute, and it's our second largest producer overall, just after Baby Well. But we're seeing some rising levels of arsenic at Bakersfield Well in recent years. The limit is 10 parts per billion. That's based on an annual average of 4 quarterly samples. We just had a quarterly result of 10.1, and that puts our annual average right now to be at 9 over the last 4 quarters. So we're keeping an eye on it, and we'll continue to monitor quarterly and assess compliance about this time next year. If the numbers stay high, we do have a plan to perhaps seal off the lower aquifer. And this would be in early 2023. Right now we have a scheduled rehabilitation project in 2023, so we could do that as part of that project if the numbers stay high. That's all I have. Any questions, comments?
So you see the past and future meetings, and now we're going to go into closed session. Coming out of closed session into open session, nothing to report. This meeting is adjourned.